Hello everyone, so we're just going to do a little bit of a recap on electricity and kind of remind ourselves of everything we've done so far, and then I'm going to get you to do some activities on it. So starting straight away, what do we know about electrical circuits? Number one, if you have missed any of this that I'm talking about, please pause the video and kind of go and do the work in your book. So the first thing that we did is we copied down all of these different symbols for a lamp, a cell, a battery. Remember, the difference between a cell and a battery is that a cell is one and a battery is two or more. A switch, a resistor, a variable resistor, that can change the resistance, an ammeter and a voltmeter. We drew them all in our books and we wrote down kind of next to them what each of them did. So if you haven't got that, please make sure you stop and do that now. We also talked about drawing circuits, and we said that we always use a ruler and pencil. We always draw the wires in a square or rectangular shape, nothing else. We always use the symbols for our components. We don't draw what they look like, we draw using these symbols. And the symbols should always be kind of somewhere within the straight. So you can see here and here and here. The symbols are actually within the straight part, they're not on the corner. We then went on to talk about the difference between voltage, current and resistance. So we said that voltage was the power or the push or the energy being given out by the cell or the battery itself. We then said that current was the flow of energy or electrons, or you could even use the word charge, but that's kind of more GCSE, we'll probably stick to electrons, around a circuit. If you're kind of trying to remember those two, remember what we did in class. We talked about current be the people moving around class, and we talked about the voltage being the cell at the top, push, giving people that push at the beginning. We then added in resistance, and we said that the resistance is how hard it is for those electrons to actually get around the circuit. Is it easy, low resistance, or is it really difficult or impossible, high resistance? We also talked about that an ammeter would be used to measure current, and the unit for that would be amps. We also talked about the fact that a voltmeter would be used to measure voltage, and the unit was volts. We then went on to say that for resistance the unit was something called ohms, and there isn't a symbol for that, but there is an equation which is voltage divided by current. One thing that we haven't talked about is what affects the resistance. So what means that there tends to be more resistance in a circuit? So here are the three main things. Number one, the length of the wire. Essentially, if the wire is longer, and therefore the electrons have further to travel, it gives more resistance. If you imagine the wire, if it's longer, there's more parts that an electron can knock into, and kind of which takes energy off of it, so that'll slow them down. The thickness of the wire. If the wire is very thin, then it makes it much easier for, it makes it much harder for the wire. Now think of it like traffic merging into one lane, like electrons, if they have to go through less at a time, or like a single file, if you like, it's going to take them longer and it's going to be harder than if they can all flow through at once. Then we can think about what the materials are made for. Basically, different materials have different amounts of resistance. Apologies guys, my dog interrupted. So, just wanted you to have a quick recap of that. If you have got anything in there that is new to you, for example this slide, because this should be new to you, please make a note of it in your books. When you have done that, I want you to fill out this sheet. Now it looks like a progress check, and I've called it progress check. It's not really, it's just for me to see how you're getting on. Like, you can use your books to do it, it doesn't need to be in a certain amount of time. I just want you to go through and answer these questions. We've got a biology question in there, kind of as a summary. What is current? What's a dependent variable? And then some questions here. Now, I'd prefer you to actually type onto this and then send me back the document, because it'll just be easier for me to read. But if you really can't do that, print it off, write on it, and then send me a picture of it. Or if you can't print it off either, just write the answers in your book and send it to me. That's absolutely fine. If you need to change the format, for example, you look at that and you think, I'm never going to write that much, or I can't write on that, obviously just highlight it, delete the dots, and then type. That's absolutely fine. You might want to type your answers in a different colour or do it in italics, just so I know it's you. If you've got any questions on that, please let me know.